Hi, Dr. Paul Haider here. Well, I want to tell you a story about a wonderful farmer. And first, a farmer he decided he wanted to grow apples, so he decided to go up on this high mountain where it was a little cooler, so he could grow some apples there because down in the valley it was pretty warm and the apples didn't really do well there. So he bought a piece of property, and when you buy a piece of property, you really didn't get to see it too much. Oh, it's over there, the owner said. So he went out there, and it was pretty rocky. So he had to remove a lot of the rocks, and he used those to build stone walls and retaining walls to make sure that water came down, stayed to irrigate the trees. And the soil was pretty bad, so he started moving in, fertilizer, manure, and different things, and enriching the soil. And then he had to till the soil, get out there with you know, his big maul and chop up the soil and go very deep and dig extensively deep for the trees, in fact. So he did that for a long, long time. And then he was allowing himself to compost a lot of the greenery that was around there, so he would enrich the soil even further. And then he would, you know, dig that into the soil. And then after a while, he did that for about 2 years. And after a while, he thought the soil was pretty good, so he went out and started getting seedlings of apple trees, different types of apples, and he started planting them here and there, making sure they were spaced right, and taking care of them in a great way. And after all this effort, in about 3 or 4 years, he started to get a few apples. And then he still did his work, though, to make sure that the water coming down the mountain was going in the right places, and he was still fertilizing and enriching the soil with more compost. And eventually he had beautiful trees, absolutely beautiful trees, and he was kind of the envy of all the other farmers around him. And it was pretty amazing that he had such a wonderful orchard, and everybody from miles came to get by his apples. Well, the same thing goes for our soul. Our soul picks up a property, the body. Sometimes the body is just kind of like the soil. It comes with some determined conditions. Some things are destiny. Sometimes we have some kind of illnesses that we come along with. Sometimes things happen that we have no ability to be able to control. At the same time, we have the ability to care for the body. We can exercise and eat right and get our sleep and deal with our circadian rhythms in the right way. We can think good thinking, and we can be positive and uplifting and laugh as much as possible, and we can till the soil of our body and take care of it in every way we can, other than those ways which come from the destiny of the good love of Great Spirit. And then, just like the farmer, the apples were plentiful. And so, if we want to have a body which is happy and healthy and full of energy, we have to work on it every single day, just like the farmer. We have to take and, exercise every day, get our exercise in. I was just talking to a Qigong master yesterday, in fact, Jorge, and he was saying one of the main things I see with people, they do their Qigong, and they're very spiritual, but they don't really exercise. And it's really important if we want to have a strong body. A lot of the great spiritual masters, they walked a lot. Buddha walked all over India, China, all over the area for miles and miles. And he lived to be into his 80s. I think it's really important. And a lot of the other great masters also did a lot of walking. And I think walking is one of the greatest things. It's not only good for the body, but it's also good for the mind, and also good to release stress, and it allows us to contemplate. When I walk, I'm doing a lot of praying, and also when I'm walking, I'm saying the name of God, and when I'm walking, I also allow myself to be introspective about what happened, you know, during the day, and that's really important also. So walking is a multi-function process. And the same thing with biking or swimming. And I think those three are probably the main ones that most anybody can do. And no matter what it is, we still have to put in the work. And that's really important. Lately, I've seen a lot of people who have come down with preventable diseases and like heart conditions and also ischemic events in their brain and all kinds of things, stomach conditions and all kinds of things which could have been prevented if they put in the work. And we can't get around it. We have to do it every single day. And also doing the meditation, which calms the mind body. I mean, I can't say enough about meditation. If you want to have peace here on this plane, on this earth, then meditation is absolutely necessary. And it's kind of like turning on a computer and you open up Word, you open up, Excel, you open up another drawing program, and Corel or something else, and keep going, and all of a sudden the computer goes, locks up. That's it. No more. And so you have to shut it down and reboot it, and then it starts working correctly. And all the same thing happens with the mind. Oh, I got to go get the kids. I got to go make their lunch. I got to, go to the bank. I got to get to work, and I got to get the dry cleaning, and on and on and on. And all of a sudden, it locks up, and we become stressed out, and we don't know what to do. And that causes a lot of stress in people's lives, and that ends up making the soil of our body really having challenges. And when we get down to it, we never have that bountiful crop of wonderful apples. We end up with, arthritis. We end up with, metabolic disease. We end up with heart disease, and on and on and on. So it's really important that the soul is picked out this body. It's really important that we work on this soil that we've been given and take care of the parts that we can do something about. And a lot of times, just like the farmer, he was given a terrible piece of property. He bought it kind of mostly on sight unseen. And it was like, oh, look at all those rocks, I got to work on this. There's no, this soil is pretty bad. So he started moving the rocks, making retaining walls, and started enriching the soil, putting the fertilizer in, putting in the compost in. And we have to do the same thing. We got to put the good food in. We got to put the nutrients in. We got to make sure that we do the exercise so that we end up with that bountiful harvest of the long life. And everybody can do this. It is not impossible at all. And then we get down to some of the things that we're given are kind of predestined. We are here to overcome those challenges in whatever way, shape, or form we can. Sometimes, doctors help. Sometimes herbalists help. Sometimes we go to counselors. Sometimes we find teachers that help. And all of them together, we find out which ways working the best to help heal our body, mind, and spirit. And we are one whole thing. When back in the 1700s, and 1800s, they decided, oh, the mind's over here, the body's over there, the spirit's out there. We'll give the mind, the body to the doctors. We'll give the spirit to, the ministers. We'll give the, everything else in between to different people. So we took care of all that. We kind of separated it all, but it's not really the way it is. Everything works together. Everything is one cohesive thing. The body is part of spirit. The mind is part of spirit. And the spirit is part of the body, and the spirit is part of the mind. So there's nothing which is not part of anything. It's everything is one. As it's been talked about, we're part of this ocean, which is Great Spirit, and we're one drop. But at the same time, we're the whole of the ocean at the same time. So we have to understand that it's hard for us to grasp. It really is that we are the continuum of everything. At the same time, we're just a drop. And so we have to allow ourselves to know that everything can work in healing ways, in amazing ways. Sometimes we work from the mind to heal the body. Sometimes we work from the body to heal the mind, and everything else in between. And so it's a really important that we work in every way we can. And I find it amazing. I find that I work on healing all the time, and I help other people heal all the time. And I find that a lot of times that they come for the bodily parts to be healed, but they forget that it's usually something else that's going on in the mind that needs to be healed at the same time. A lot of times it's fear. I see that so often. And people have fear about this and fear about that, and they wonder why they have these aches and pains and, I can't walk or this and that. That fear causes, I've seen it, causes inflammation in the body. It causes stress, and that stress causes the inflammation process in the body. Now that's been proven over and over again in many studies. So we really need to work on the stress. We really need to work on the fear also. And if we're going to heal the mind, body, and spirit. And talking about that also, we're planning a trip to go to see the great healer and spiritual person, John of God in Brazil. And if you'd be interested in going with us, we are grabbing a bunch of group of people to go together. And my email address is down below if you would like to go with us. I am in good shape, but I'd like to, always work on healing and always work on being connected to somebody, especially like John of God. It's just to be in the presence of somebody like that is pretty amazing. And that's to be the first part of August, so you really need to get your information to me, connect with me so I can tell you how to get a hold of the trip coordinator. And I'm just going on this with my wife, and if you would like to go too and have a group together, that would be really great. And so we're flying from Puerto Rico down, and you may be coming from somewhere else. So it would be great to have you and enjoy your company and see great things happen. Wonderful things happen with John of God. I've seen he heals 300 people a day. Amazing. So here's to your great health. Here's to healing your mind, body, and spirit. And here's to having a wonderful Sunday. And remember, I love you. Also, all my contact information is down below. And feel free to contact me. All my consults are free. And if you care to make a donation, that's down below also.